Hey guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. And today we are back here with another mission, which is a CRS-29 mission. And this mission is aimed to, um, it's a very exciting mission, to be honest, because it's going to the International Space Station with commercial resupplies, and it's taking some great science. So welcome back. And if you are wondering where I was for a long time, there are some changes going on for you only for on this channel. So I was implementing those changes, and you shall see those things in action very soon. So CRS-29 mission, we'll talk about it. But hey Marcus, how are you? Welcome to the stream. And well, I would like to um, you know take this moment to thank John for all his contribution. He has been a very constant contributor to this channel, because of which I was able to invest a lot on this channel to make it more exciting for you all, to make it more informative and all those things. You will see those changes in coming days. But thank you so much, John. And I think he's going off YouTube for a certain time, so we'll be missing him for sure, and we'll be waiting for him. But as a token of our appreciation, this stream is going to be dedicated to John, and hopefully we'll hear from him if he's listening to this stream. I'm not sure, but we'll hear from him soon. So thank you so much, John, for all you have done. Okay, so now coming back to the CRS-29 mission. Okay. Hi, Wildflower. It's been a long time, right? Uh, been a while. Yep. Hey, Anonymous, if I pronounce it right. Welcome to the stream. Okay, cool. So this CRS-29 mission is a commercial resupply mission. It does not have crew on board. It has the science. It's going to the International Space Station. It's taking the Crew Dragon, which is a modified version, basically a modified version of Crew Dragon only. And this is going to be launched at 8:28 p.m. Eastern, with a backup launch opportunity available on Friday. So we do have a backup launch opportunity, and I think my timer is messed up, so let me just correct that first of all, so that you all can chill a bit, because it's not going to launch in 10 minutes or under 10 minutes. Yeah, I think that should fine. So CRS-29 is the second flight of this Dragon spacecraft, which is going to fly today, which previously flew on CRS-26 mission. So this is, the advantage of this Dragon capsule, that it is able to, we are able to reuse it, and although it lands on water, but still they have made it in such a way that they can reuse it. The other capsules which tend to reused, mostly land on land, which is much more healthier and safer for a capsule to be on, because ocean water is highly corrosive, but they managed to do it, so kudos to them. Okay, so let's have a look at the standard mission profile. So the liftoff will happen, and the max Q and the stage separation will happen here. After the stage separation, the first stage will do a boost back burn. So here there will be a boost back burn. It will coming back to the landing zone, so it won't be landing on the landing pad, as we all know. Landing, those drone ships, it won't be landing on that. The SpaceX has avoided that landing on drone ships for a quite a long time now, so there is that. And for the talking about the second stage will continue, and the Dragon will finally separate, and we'll get to see the deployment to the International Space Station. To talking about the steps for it, so first of all, the liftoff will happen, which we all know. the standard mission profile. Then the orbit activation for the Dragon, which means it will separate from the Falcon 9 second stage and perform the initial orbit activation, which will which involves the opening of the nose cone and doing the system health checks. And then finally the phasing burns will happen, which will you can see the third one, right? The phasing burns to increase the orbit from, first of all, the here one of the phasing burn will happen to increase the orbit from this part to this. Here again one burn will happen to increase the orbit from this circular part to this part, which will kind of intersect with the International Space Station. And then finally the approach initiation will happen at this point. So once it is finally, at this point also it will do one phasing burn to match with the International Space Station. Once it is near the space station, it will do a final co-elliptic burn, which is the approach initiation. So if you don't know, the International Space Station has a 100-meter bubble, which is a no contact zone, or kind of a safe zone for International Space Station. So if you are inside that 100-meter, then there is no going back. It's kind of like that. So if you have to stay, like do some system checks or calibrate your vehicle, you need to be away from that 100-meter bubble. So it's like that. So Dragon will establish a communication link with the International Space Station, and then finally the proximity operations will commence. It will start it will do the final burn to dock with the International Space Station, and then finally the pressurization and all those things will happen. So this is how it will look like. So this is all standard, we all know about it. So let's have a look at the sweet science which is going to the space station. So first of all, this is the laser communication from space, or the Illumati. So this is NASA's Illumati investigation that will test the technology to provide enhanced data communication capabilities on space station. So this is nothing but, in summary, the hashtag Star Wars kind of thing, the nothing but a laser communication. So the Starlink and SpaceX has already, if you know, right, established this communication, and we all know it works quite a bit well. But here they want to establish that laser communication technology, laser communication network, so that they can finally use that in the future Artemis mission, because laser communication actually allows you to have higher bandwidth data, which means higher speeds of data with reliable communication. So hence when you are on the moon, you want all that live feed from the moon coming in. So much of data will be coming from the moon, right? So you want some reliable and high speed data communication. So that's where this laser communication will come into picture. So for this one, what it will do is, a terminal mounted on the station's exterior uses laser or optical communication to send high resolution information to the agency's laser communications relay demonstrator, which is LCRD, which is right now placed on geosynchronous orbit around Earth. And the LCRD, then it will beam the data to the optical ground stations in the Hawaii, Table Mountain, California, and all those things. So system will use the infrared light that can send and receive information at higher data rates than the traditional radio frequency, making it possible to send more images, videos to and from the space station in a single transmission. So this is the advantage. This is what we want, and that's why we are having this. So this is going to create NASA's first two-way laser communication relay system, which will finally be used in the Artemis mission. So this is kind of some few steps to the final Artemis mission, moon mission, which is going to happen. Okay. Next up we have this thing. So this is watching waves in the atmosphere. So this is nothing but NASA's atmospheric wave experiment. So this wave experiment is going to launch basically it will use an infrared imaging instrument to measure the characteristics, distribution, and the movement of atmospheric gravity waves. So what these waves are? These waves roll through the Earth's atmosphere when air is disturbed, much like waves creating by dropping a stone into the water. So this will actually, they are going to study these waves, which will allow us to better understand the climate, how it works, and all those things, so that we can predict the climate changes at lower altitude. There are much more things which are associated with it, but we'll talk about it later. So next thing, this is also very exciting. This is a space flight induced ovarian and estrogen signaling dysfunction adaptation and recovery. This is a kind of a big name for this. Basically what it will do is, it will do a microgravity study to better understand the combined effects of spaceflight, nutritional and environmental stresses on control of ovulation and resulting effects on the skeleton. So this is a human study. So ovulation, I think it's a human, human studies. So results of this study could help identify and treat the effects of stress on ovulation and improve bone health here on Earth. I never actually even thought about this thing, improving the bone health on space, because space is known for decreasing the bone health, right? How can space help in increasing the bone health? The bone density and all those decreases when you are in space, right? So kind of surprising to me, and I'm looking forward to this one. Okay, so the next one is the aqua membrane 3 from ESA. It will it will use the uh, uh, evaluation. It will continue the evaluation of replacing the multi-filtration beds used for recovery on the space station with a type of membrane known as an aquaporin inside membrane, which is nothing but a protein based membrane. So right now they're using some synthetic based filters. They want to reduce change it with the membranes that are found in biological cells. So this is what it is. Initial testing of this technology was done in way back in 2015, and it showed good results. Now they want to deploy it in the International Space Station and do more testing on it. Once it is approved, hopefully we'll see those biological created membranes being used in the water filtration system in International Space Station. Nice touch. Okay, next one is this Guocho Lung, if I pronounced it right. If it's the ISS National Lab of study. So it will study how the mucus lining inside the respiratory system affects the delivery of drugs carried in small amount of injected liquid known as liquid plug. So this is a like you take those asthma medications, that pump which you take, right? This is not related to that pump. This is related to some drugs that are delivered via liquid plug, but this will help in this microgravity study will help to make it possible to isolate the factors involved, including capillary or waking forces, mucus characteristics, and gravity. So basically they just want to understand how that drugs, if possible, can be directly injected to the lungs, and how it will perform. They want to understand the mucus interacting with it without any factors of gravity and all those things. So this is also a bit of revolutionary. I have never heard of liquid plugs on the lungs side. I knew about those asthma medications, but not this thing. So this is also very new technology, and looking forward to this. Next up is the brainoid. So this is also again biological study which will be happening, and here it will do some just a second. The effect of microgravity on human brain organoids. So organoids are nothing but a small cluster of cells which you can study to mimic the fuel, the brain or any organ which you want to study, and it will study it will use this model to study the biomedical discovery and personalized medicine applications. So this is going to demonstrate how exposure to microgravity affects survival, metabolism, and features of brain cells, and therefore cognitive functions. So this is also a very exciting one. Again, all those sweet science going to space, and finally it will be helping people on earth. And then people say, why are we investing on space when we have so many things here on earth, right? Quite contrary. But this is one the video which should summarize all the science which is going to station. Let's have a look at it. We are live on that part. Let me switch over to that, just a second.
$270 meters in closing. Crew Dragon expected to converge with
Launch Weather Officer Melody Lovin will be monitoring the clouds for potential violations. There is a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind from the ocean, but that's not nearly enough to affect the rocket as it climbs through the atmosphere and into orbit. After its work is done, the first stage will come back here to land at Landing Zone 1, about a mile or so away. That is different from recent cargo launches to the space station that saw the first stage land offshore on a drone ship. And to save you a Google search, the first cargo mission to see the first stage return to land was CRS-9 back in 2016. Right now, SpaceX is fueling the Falcon 9 with RP-1, or rocket-grade kerosene, and super cold liquid oxygen. That is minus 297 degrees, and it is also being loaded.
That was a wrong stream. So this is right now the correct one.
Liquid oxygen turning into a gas and venting into the air that is producing the white clouds you see around the rocket. All rockets are designed with valves that open to allow the oxygen to boil off to maintain the right pressure in the tanks. Those clouds form when the oxygen makes contact with Florida's humid air. Our launch time tonight is 8:28 and 14 seconds, and the launch window is instantaneous to put the spacecraft on course to dock with the International Space Station on Saturday, November 11th at 5:20 a.m. Eastern Time.
Hey Doug, I missed you too. I know I'm not going anywhere. I just had a kind of a break, you can say, to revamp the structure of my channel. You will soon see the changes on it.
Texas. Teams of flight controllers are behind me monitoring tonight's launch with Flight Director Garrett Henn at the helm. Mission control is go for launch, meaning the space station is ready to receive the spacecraft, and we're not tracking any issues that would prevent a docking. From here on out, mission controllers will observe the launch and monitor the Dragon vehicle during all milestones of its flight. The astronauts on board are likely to be asleep at the time of launch. There are 7 people living aboard the International Space Station now: NASA astronauts Jasmine Mogbelli and Laurel O'Hara, Andreas Mogensen from Denmark, Satoshi Furukawa from Japan, and Roscosmos cosmonauts Konstantin Borisov, Oleg Kononenko, and Nikolai Chub. When the Cargo Dragon arrives on November 11th, it will dock autonomously, but O'Hara and Mogbelli will be on deck to monitor its arrival. The crew will first unpack the more time-sensitive science experiments and cargo, and then, as the week goes on, continue to unpack their delivery. They'll be receiving some pizza kits, olives, an assortment of cheeses, and some holiday treats like pumpkin spice cappuccino, cranberry sauce, and chocolate. So I'm sure they're looking forward to it. In the meantime, here in Mission Control, everything is still a go, and we're looking forward to following along with the Cargo Dragon during its journey to the International Space Station. So for now, let's go back to Kennedy. Jasmine?
Thank you so much for those updates, Chelsea and team. We are now at T-minus 19 minutes and counting from liftoff of the 29th Commercial Resupply Services mission from NASA and SpaceX. This mission will carry 6,505 pounds of cargo, including supplies to support the crew on board, spacewalk equipment, vehicle hardware, computer resources, and of course, science investigations. So let's take a closer look at what's on board.
And 30 seconds remaining. Everything is looking good for the launch. It's a nighttime launch, so it would look amazing in the sky. And yes, I did not stream the Gaganyaan test launch because I was there. Okay, I was filming there, so at the launch site. So you will see that video also coming out very soon. And I'll that experience of, you know, seeing the rocket actually going to flames in front of you and hearing those sounds of the blast constantly, that was amazing and out of this world. So that was literally one mission which I wanted to go to witness the in person. Like, I had to go for that, and I went there, and it was worth it. Although I have a story for it, but you will see that in the video only.
Waves that form near the surface and impact Earth's upper atmosphere. Increasing our understanding of these waves could teach us more about Earth's atmosphere, climate, and near-Earth space weather. Awe is also part of what NASA is calling the Heliophysics Big Year, a global celebration of solar science and the sun's influence on Earth and the entire solar system.
And never to forget Aditya L1 mission, which is going to study the sun, and it has delivered some science back to the Earth. We'll talk about it also if we get some time.
Around the moon, farther than humanity has ever gone before. To learn how about we're getting there, let's check out our Artemis Moon Minute. Preparations for NASA's Artemis II mission are underway at Kennedy Space Center. Engineers inside the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building connected the two major components of the Artemis II Orion spacecraft, the crew and service modules. Once in space, these important pieces of hardware will fly the Artemis II crew around the moon and back. The 10 solid rocket booster motor segments for the Artemis II Space Launch System rocket arrived by rail at Kennedy, traveling from Utah across 8 states in specialized transporters. Kennedy teams also are conducting several water deluge tests at Launch Pad 39B, releasing approximately 400,000 gallons of water onto the mobile launcher's deck, flame hole, and the pad's flame deflector. By helping to deflect overpressurization and suppress the sound produced at liftoff, the water deluge system is critical for protecting the crew, rocket, spacecraft, and pad structures during launch. That's your Artemis Moon Minute. The Artemis missions intend to land the first woman and first person of color on the moon, and these goals are characterized by NASA's graphic novel, First Woman. This is the fictional story of Callie Rodriguez, the first woman to explore the lunar surface. Her struggles and triumphs were inspired by the lives of many real NASA astronauts, like Jasmine McBelly and Laurel O'Hara, who are part of the current space station crew. The second volume of this story with new characters and new technologies is available now in both English and Spanish, and the astronauts on station are in for a real treat because we're sending them a copy with today's launch. You can follow Callie's adventures on NASA's websites and our social media. Now we're just about T-minus 14 minutes and counting from liftoff of CRS-29 from both NASA and SpaceX to the International Space Station. So let's bring back Jesse now to tell us more about SpaceX and their efforts to explore the moon, Mars, and beyond. Jesse?
Thanks, Jasmine. As many of you may already know, SpaceX's ultimate mission is to make life multiplanetary. To get us there, we've been developing a fully and rapidly reusable transportation system called Starship, the most powerful launch system ever developed and designed to carry passengers and cargo to Earth orbit, the moon, and planetary destinations like Mars. Starship's first fully integrated flight test back in April provided numerous lessons learned that directly contributed to several upgrades to both the vehicle and ground infrastructure to improve the probability of success on future flights. Our second flight test could launch as soon as mid-November, pending regulatory approval, which is just around the corner. This next test will debut a hot stage separation system and a new electronic thrust vector control, or TVC system, for Super Heavy Raptor engines, in addition to reinforcements to the pad foundation and a water-cooled steel flame deflector, among many other enhancements. Building bases or even cities on Mars will require huge amounts of cargo and eventually crew. So we're designing Starship from the beginning to carry hundreds of tons of cargo into space and be able to refuel in orbit. Before Mars, Starship will play a key role in the exploration of the moon. We're providing the lunar lander, which will return astronauts to the lunar surface for the first time in more than 50 years under NASA's Artemis missions. With the ability to deliver cargo and people to the lunar surface, we'll be ready to help humanity build a sustainable presence on the moon and learn how to live off-world before the next steps to Mars. Today, however, we are going a little closer to home with our Dragon spacecraft, where all of our learning on human space transportation began. And all the work and advancement we continue to make with Dragon in low Earth orbit will continue to pave the way for our future deep space missions with Starship. And now I'll turn it back to Jasmine at KSC to take a look at one of the payloads flying on today's mission. Jasmine?
Thanks so much, Jesse. Yes, on today's mission, we are launching seeds from the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. And here to tell us more about the Growing Hope initiative is Jacqueline Putman.
There is some seeds going in from Native Americans. Yeah.
I am the coordinator for Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. This is National Heritage Month, so this is Native American Month, so this is a very important month for us. We're sending up our traditional seeds in this. We're very, very excited about this. These are seeds that came down the Trail of Tears.
So these seeds will be actually sent to space and they will do some research over it, and then it will be sent back to Earth in future missions, and then it will be grown by the students of some, I don't remember the schools, but students, and then it will be observed by the students itself to research on it and how it will grow, and amazing things for the Native Americans.
And they're going to plant them. We're going to do the STEM program. We're going to do a side-by-side testing for what has been on Earth, what's gone out of space, do a comparison. We're getting these kids excited about science. We want to get new astronauts. We want them to know they have a future, that this is something that they can do. This is not out of range.
Right.
That this is something that they can have as well.
Exactly. Jacqueline, we actually showed some pictures on the screen of the different things that are going to be planted. What seeds, what kind of seeds are you sending?
We're sending our traditional Tanchi flower corn. It can grow up to 20 feet tall. We've grown it to 18.5 feet. This is what we grind up and make our banaha bread. Mm-hmm. We're sending our Choctaw sweet potato squash. It can last on the shelf up to a year. It's high in manganese, magnesium, zinc, vitamin A, and iron. And this is hoping foods that will hold the astronauts will hopefully cake and grow themselves, because they last, they're good for you. So, and then we have our Tanchi, we have our Smith peas, we have Chukvi peas. These are just really prolific peas that do really well, indoors, outdoors, and they're high in iron, and they're really prolific. So we're really hoping that they'll put these to use, because
that is awesome. Jackie, how are you going to incorporate this into the STEM curriculum?
Well, actually, what we're doing is we're building a new garden. We've been talking about building a brand new garden over at Jones Academy for this program, so we could have extra produce for the kids to study and get them interested in this program, so that can lead to college educations, to NASA.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
Who could ever believe that we would be here at NASA today?
Right.
And we're kicking off Native American Month, so we're very excited and very honored.
That is fabulous. Very poignant, very good timing for this. Thank you so much, Jackie Putman. So this science and all the science launching today is made possible by the International Space Station, which celebrates 25 years of operation this month. Here's a look at some of the highlights from the past few decades on the orbiting laboratory.
The ISS is the most incredible wonder of the modern world.
Christina Cook, the first one through the hatch.
We're pushing boundaries. We're doing things that nobody else is doing.
$25 and counting, but it's not we don't have a a huge life ahead for International Space Station. Hopefully it will be given to private partners to maintain, but I think the last it won't be extended now, and right now it has a lifeline till 2030 if I'm not wrong. After that it shall be given to the private partners, and we'll see how that will pan out, but right now it's looking good. It has already done its job. It's a very old hardware. You know how the Chinese space station in comparison to International Space Station it's very elegant, very um, um, small, you can say, because miniaturization happened after that, right? So electronics and all those things were made small and elegant. So hopefully we'll get some new technologies for the new space station which might happen.
And more to benefit life on and off the planet. CRS-29 is expected to dock to the space station this Saturday. That's November 11th at 5:20 a.m. And NASA astronauts Jasmine Montbelly and Laurel O'Hara will be monitoring the operation to ensure all this cargo is delivered safely. All right, we're marching towards launch at T-minus 7 minutes and counting for liftoff of CRS-29. So let's bring back Steve here on Florida's Space Coast and Jesse live at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California to walk us through the final moments of countdown and liftoff. Take it away.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Okay, we are
It is
T-minus
just under
7 minutes. Yep.
to launch, and the SpaceX team is working no significant issues, and the vehicle is healthy. Weather is 100% go for T0, and the range is ready to support today's mission. At this point, Rocket Propellant 1 or RP1 fuel is completely loaded on the second stage and nearly complete on the first stage. Liquid oxygen or LOX loading is currently underway on both stages and will complete at the T-minus 2 minute mark. We just heard a call out for engine chill. We're also loading helium gas into both stages. Falcon 9 uses helium as a pressurant to backfill the propellant tanks, as liquid oxygen and RP1 are consumed by the Merlin engines during ascent. Helium load began before the broadcast went live and will continue to top off until about a minute and a half before launch.
And SpaceX performed that engine chill just a few seconds ago, around T-minus 7 minutes. That's when the team flowed a small amount of liquid oxygen at minus 297 degrees into the Merlin engine's turbopumps. And you may have heard the call there. Stage 1 fuel load is complete. They're basically doing that engine chill. They're basically prepping the propulsion system for the full flow of liquid oxygen. And by doing this, they avoid a thermal shock to the system, and that ensures that engine startup goes well. Dragon also began its startup sequence at T-minus 35 minutes when it coordinated timing with the Falcon 9 rocket. The spacecraft is currently undergoing vehicle health checks. It'll enter terminal count at about T-minus 5 minutes, with the next big step just a minute before liftoff, when Dragon will transition to internal power.
Okay, guys, T-minus 5 minutes and counting. Everything is looking good. In fact, helium goes in party balloons as well. Yeah. True. True. So if you'll thing is that if you'll breathe in helium, so your voice will change. It will become more like a child voice, and it's used in those balloons to for doing that, as well as if you want to play with it, you can just breathe in. It's not harmful, so you can do it in small doses, and it's kind of very interesting to see how the voice sounds like after you breathe in.
To route propellants and electrical power to the vehicle in preparation for launch.
So T minus 4 minutes 47 seconds remaining. Right now, the final topping off of the fuel is going on. It will make sure the tanks are fully fueled for the launch to happen. All those vents, the fog coming out of the rocket is nothing but the fuel just boiling off. So we need some topping off mechanism, and that's what is happening right now. Once the this strong back the fuel tank pressurization is happened, that's the time when the vents are closed and finally the fuel tank is pressurized for the launch.
The Dragon that you see there on your screen. And there you can
Hey Kalavati, how are you? Fun to sing with helium. Yep.
And again, as a reminder, the booster on your screen is flying for its second time, and will be landing back on land at landing zone 1, which is not too far from the launch site. And there you can see that the clamp arms look like they're fully open now. That transport erector can now begin to move away from the vehicle. It will also be pretty slow and slight, but just enough to allow some room for the vehicle for liftoff.
And at T minus 3 minutes, 22 seconds and counting, we are waiting for a call for stage 1 liquid oxygen loading complete. This launch will take about 6,000 pounds of hardware, crew supplies, and science to the space station.
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
And there we have the call we were waiting for. Stage 1 LOX load complete. That is the liquid oxygen.
So this is what is
larger pieces of equipment that CRS-29 is carrying tonight is a technology demonstrator. It's called Illuma-T, and it'll transmit data to Earth on lasers. Those lasers can hold a lot more data than previous communications equipment, and this trial will show how that rush of data can help researchers learn a lot more about their work on the station. Dragon will be docked to the space station for about a month before returning home.
And finally, this laser communication is going to help for the Artemis missions, because they are going to plan a relay laser network for reliable and fast data transfer, which we all want. Starlink is already using the laser communication and it's working fine. So it's not a new technology that, in space, Starlink has demonstrated it, but at a larger scale, a reliable one, we need to see if a network of those laser communication can happen. So basically, today they will install one of those modules to the exterior of the International Space Station. After that, it will do the communication to one of the satellites in the geosynchronous orbit. From that satellite, it will beam the information back to the ground station on the Earth. So this will be a two-way communication which will going to happen. So right now, T minus 90 seconds remaining. Everything is looking good. I shall now stop talking and you shall listen to the countdown.
Tank liquid surface for the liquid oxygen that we vent out overboard to maintain pressure in the tank as needed. And once that cold gas comes into contact with that warmer air, it creates those white clouds that you see there.
And we are at T minus 1 minute 5 seconds and counting. Soon the Falcon 9 computers will enter startup mode.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
And there we have the call from the launch director. Falcon 9 computers have entered startup mode, and the Dragon spacecraft is on internal power. Both stages are now pressurizing for launch. And
LD, go for launch.
And we are go for the launch.
And there we have the on-time call of the SpaceX launch director verifying we are go for launch this evening. Liftoff scheduled for 8:28 p.m. Eastern Time and 14 seconds. At launch, the International Space Station will be flying 259 miles over the Arabian Sea near the coast of Oman. We are 15 seconds to launch and counting.
15 seconds to count.
And T minus 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
T-minus 5,
5,
4,
4.
3, 2, 1.
Ignition
Liftoff.
and liftoff of the Falcon 9 mission.
And liftoff of CRS-29 carrying cargo, research,
Vehicle
and a laser,
pitching downrange.
There you go.
and a laser communication.
Engine pressure is nominal.
Laser
Majestic as
communications
always.
demonstrator to the International Space Station, now in its 25th year of orbital operations.
This Falcon 9 mission has become so routine that the commentators itself know that it will lift off, so they just announce it anyway, right? Amazing, amazing. Fine. Okay, we are getting some views of the rocket.
At T plus 40 seconds, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from historic Launch Complex 39A in Florida. We are
And
now
it is a
coming
very
up on
big
max
accomplishment for SpaceX to make it so routine, because rocket launches are always, you know, a thing which is like you are handling the explosives, because it's nothing but a controlled explosion only. So if you can make it routine without any problem, that's an amazing accomplishment.
And great call out there. We have passed through max Q. Now, with that, we have 5 events coming up that will be back to back. First will be main engine cutoff. Main engine is that what you see on your screen. Those 9 Merlin engines are lit up right now. But we will have MECO, which is main engine cutoff. And that's where we'll shut down all of those engines that you see there on your screen. That'll slow the vehicle down in preparation for the next event called stage separation, which is where the first and second stages will separate from each other. Then the first stage will perform a flip to head back to our launch site for landing, while the second stage continues to light its Merlin vacuum engine to boost Dragon to low Earth orbit during SES-1, or second stage start.
Oh, look
1.
at that flower.
And the last event will be
Amazing.
the first stage starting up.
So this is going to so when I went to see the launches, right, it was, we couldn't see these kind of flowers, because I, first of all, I did not see the launch in night. That is still in the bucket list. But when I went to see the actual, you know, the flame is very much bright. You don't see that in cameras, and whoa, look at that. Look at that first stage burn. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying that the flame which you see on the rocket is not actually, whoa, those gases are amazing. Okay. Yeah, so those flame which you see for the rocket, right, that is actually very bright. It's kind of blinding, literally blinding, and you don't see that on cameras because of certain settings of the cameras. But yeah, that is one thing which I did not know I would experience. And the sound and the vibrations are obviously on the next level, which you don't get to see. And when it finally goes up and you are just looking up and then it goes into nothingness, that's when you realize you are very small in this world. I would always recommend to go and visit and see one of those launches, because that will give you certain perspective of the life, and you will that is one thing which you should experience at least once, no matter if you love space or not.
NASA. This is SpaceX's 81st mission for 2023 and the 6th and final Dragon flight to the International Space Station this year. We lifted off from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39A just about 4 minutes ago.
Wow. The camera, you can see, right, that the yellow glow is actually, we can see that on the engine's components, and that is just shining like wow.
Which helps improve refurbishment and relight times for Falcon 9.
Look at this one, right? Those yellow flames and yellow albedo, that's what they say for the planets. The light which is reflected off the planet. Not sure what is this thing, just reflected light or what?
The next burn is the entry burn, and that's where we will relight
Vehicles
3
are
of
on
the
a
9
nominal
Merlin
trajectory.
Great call outs there.
We can already see the first stage is still like 100 kilometers up, but right now it's falling down, so you can see the velocity which is increasing for the first stage, but it will continue to increase, and then it will gather terminal velocity. The engines will finally light up, and then to zero. That's going to happen
rapidly just before touching down on the landing zone. And again, the M1D engines have about 190,000 pounds of thrust, which is just enough.
I wouldn't say that you to sit near the flaming end, because in space you can't even feel cold, to be honest. People say that it's very cold and all, but because there is no radiation, conduction in space, right? So the heat can be radiated, so you will feel heat when if you will sit near the engine bell. So that is not at all recommended. If you are just roaming around in space without the spacesuit, you won't feel cold that quickly. So that is one misconception, because there is no conduction of thing in space, and the heat which you have in your body will get radiated. That's it. If you are generating heat by yourself, it will just get radiated. That's it. And it will take some time for that radiation to happen, because there will not be any conduction. So first stage has begun its entry burn, and there you go, the shutdown. So you can see again the
But as you can see, those engines shut down on your screen. That concludes the entry burn for the first stage.
whoa, look at that, look at that.
The grid fins there with a little gleam of light on your screen.
Stage 1 FTS is saved. Vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectory.
They have, we can see the landing zone, and the wow, look at that, lights.
Landing legs near the base of the vehicle, and that they
Stage 1
are
transonic.
used. They're deployed just.
It literally does not use any optical thing, because otherwise it won't be able to see. It uses the GPS coordinates to land on the pad.
First stage booster, and that includes Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy missions.
Look at
Stage
that.
1 landing burn.
Whoa.
There's that call out. The landing burn has begun. You can see it there
And
on your
again,
left-hand screen.
bullseye,
Let's watch as Falcon
always.
9 touches down.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Never get bored of all this, and always SpaceX nails it, and always you hear that chair. Wow.
Awesome sight to see. As you can see, the Falcon 9 first stage that supported today's mission landed for its second time and has previously supported the Crew 7 mission in August earlier this year. This marks the 238th successful landing for an orbital class rocket. Now, next up in a few seconds, just about 20 seconds or so, will be the shutdown of the MVAC engine that you see ignited there on your screen. That event is called SECO, or Second Engine Cutoff, and that'll be the first shutdown of this MVAC engine.
It's going to happen very soon now. And
SECO.
There you go, SECO. The engine bell, you can actually literally see that engine, bell has that flex on it. It's because of the pressure changed. And we have normal orbital insertion.
SECO and heard a confirmation of good nominal insertion.
Amazing.
Plus 9 minutes into the mission, we are coming up on the last major task for stage 2.
And we can see the sun rising, I guess. That's why the lights are coming up.
From now. We expect to have
Yep, the sun is rising.
From the trunk, looking back at stage 2. CRS-29 will be joining the Crew 7 vehicle currently on orbit. So we'll be back to having 2 Dragon spacecraft docked at the International Space Station. As for cargo, today we will be delivering more than 6,500 pounds of science, research, crew supplies, and vehicle hardware to the orbiting laboratory and its crew. And to date, SpaceX has sent and brought back over 300,000 pounds of crew and cargo to and from the space station.
So it parks at an orbit of around 200 kilometers. You can see that, right? The speed value and the altitude, it's very stable right now.
As a
So that is amazing.
For this Dragon capsule, having previously
now the next event is the separation of the Dragon capsule itself, which you will see that, and then finally the nose cone opening. Because one thing which you want for the Dragon capsule to always perform is that nose cone opening, because otherwise it won't survive in space for a long time at all. It won't be able to do any kind of maneuvers. Lateral yeah, the this thing, the so what are these horizontal maneuvers or forward and backward maneuvers, because it does not have thrusters outside of it. So the nose cone actually exposes the thrusters which will perform the actual orbital maneuvers to go it to rendezvous with the International Space Station. So that nose cone opening is very, very important and critical for this mission. Literally a single point of failure.
Of Dragon carried solar arrays extended outward from the trunk. The cylindrical structure located directly behind the Dragon capsule. The current Dragon has these arrays fixed directly to the trunk. And you may see a dark side of the trunk and a light side of the trunk. The dark side is those solar panels, while the light
the
side
sun is not
radiator.
rising. That was just the light which SpaceX might have put over the second stage. But yeah, you can see the sun has set and now it will rise after some time. It is literally at the middle right now.
The Dragon capsule is connected to the trunk beneath it via the trunk claw and connects thermal control, power, and avionics system components between the trunk and the capsule.
Okay, some technical knowledge out there.
And another fun fact, once on station, Dragon can serve as an extra module for science payloads lacking room on the space station, which we refer to as extend the lab.
Dragon separation confirmed.
And we have separation.
And there you can see on your screen,
whoa,
the
inside.
Dragon spacecraft has separated from the Falcon 9 second stage.
UA-14 to power J1. Okay, that is a tag out there. But
now,
yeah,
if you're just now joining us, you're watching a live broadcast for the 29th Commercial Resupply Mission to the International Space Station for NASA. This is SpaceX's 81st mission this year and 6th and final Dragon flight to station for 2023. We lifted off just about 12 and a half minutes ago from NASA Kennedy Space Center Launch Complex 39A in Florida. And coming up in just a few moments will be the nose cone opening for the Dragon capsule. All right, so that will do it for me here in Hawthorne. So we are going to send it over to Chelsea in Houston to talk us through the nose cone opening. Chelsea?
Thank you, Jesse, and welcome back to the International Space Station's Flight Control Room. I'm here with continued live coverage here in Mission Control Houston.
Okay, so I guess, guys, that would be it from my side, and now hopefully you will get some updates on it. So the next steps for the Dragon capsule is to finally open the nose cone. First of all, that is the critical one. After that, do the maneuvers which we have already talked about. So this is the unpressurized cargo section which you can see right now, and I think this is the laser communication array. So this is where it is exposed to space, literally space, and then it will be once it is docked with the space station, it will be used by the astronauts to finally install it on the International Space Station. This is the insides of the Crew Dragon, and we can see some signs and all those things, sweet things which are going here. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. We do have another mission coming up in just 2 days. That would be a crewed mission, and it is a CRS-2 mission, if I'm not wrong. Which wait a second, let me tell you. Oh, sorry, the Transporter 9 mission is coming up first of all. So that is amazing. The small satellite will be launched. So in 2 days, 12th of November, that is going to come up. Hopefully we'll also see the SpaceX Starship going to launch this month, so that would be amazing as well. And the aim of this mission was for the resupply of the International Space Station. So this is going to the International Space Station, and they are going to have new science, new research, new equipments, and new food, water, everything new. Okay. So thank you so much for tuning in. Until then, this is Pianshu, and again, I would again like to thank John. Thank you so much for that. 400 really helps me, and we'll be waiting for you once you come back. You literally helped me, invest thousands of dollars on this channel, and finally I'll be able to make something out of it. So thank you so much, and thank you so much to all the Patreons, Google account, Susan. They have been amazing, and Doug, and if I missed out someone, please pardon me for that, but thank you so much for all the Patreons and the members of the channel. You guys make this all possible, and I'll meet you again on 12th of November, hopefully with another live stream. Until then, this is Priyanshu Royla. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and bye-bye.